So everything for the most part was pretty much done. Um, but from what I hear, honestly, it was a locker room decision more than anything for those guys to decide to stay together. And my first impression of a lot of locker room is we have very, very personable young men who know what they want, and they got a chip on their shoulder about how things went and things that are before them and what they can do as a unit. And I think that's what ultimately kept that group together. Along with, I believe, Coach Brennan being who he is, right? Getting here, opening the door and saying, come see me. Let's spend some time together. Let me get an opportunity to know you and your families and what you're about. And that's an ongoing process in today's profession. It's just what it is. And that's what it should be built on, right? As I share my experience, a lot of these things can become very, very transactional. But who Brennan is as a man first, right, is the thing that I think, flows over into him as a coach and ultimately us as well.
And then one of the players that a lot of people were wondering about potentially going into the portal was Tacario Davis. What kind of conversations have you had with him? And just looking back at his film from last year, what stands out to you?
We've had great conversation. Tacario loves this place. He loves his teammates in that locker room, and he wants to be here. And ultimately, that's where his decision lies. But I get it, right? I'm coming through the door. He doesn't know me from the next man on the street. Give me an opportunity to show you who I am and what I'm about this spring. You owe it to yourself, that way. You want to be here, and I want you here, right? And then, I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question?
Just like looking at the kind of cornerback that he is, his frame, how he plays, what stands out to you?
A lot of potential, man. A lot of potential. He's what everyone in the country is looking for, right? Long, can run and cover, and I think he's got a lot. I think he's just scratching the surface of what he can do. I think he's got a lot ahead of him, and that's what I talked to him about, continuing that development and transformation of what the foundation he's already laid. But I think sky's the limit for Tacario. I know he's a worker, and I'm telling you, from the outside looking in, I know, there's a lot of things can be said, and he's a guy that wants to be here and loves this place, man. And I'll tell you right now, is ultimately putting his best foot forward to develop and transform into the elite player that he wants to be.
Other guys in that group, what stands out to you about the group that you're inheriting?
Hard workers. They are hard workers. There's, in G7 and Emmanuel Carnley, those are the guys that were here anyways. They're guys that haven't had a lot of opportunity in playing time, but see a lot of opportunity coming into the spring and fall, and they are foaming at the mouth, and I'm telling you, they're attacking every single workout, and willing and ready to take the next step in their careers. So really excited in that way.
And then lastly, how would you describe Dwayne Aquina?
Yeah,
as a coach and his personality?
He's awesome. He's awesome, man. Inclusive. He wants input from the entire room, but leader of men, from top to bottom, whether it's the staff or whether it's the players. And it's just invaluable, right? The experience, the 40-plus years, and the different perspectives. We always say in the profession there's more than one way to do things. And Aquina has a knack for seeing all perspectives, and we get in that room and we're making decisions as a unit and as a group. But I'd say leader of men, man, to put together a staff of men from all different places and backgrounds and different experience and ages. I can't say enough about him, and I hear he's intense on the field, and I think we're going to be a perfect match because I tend to be a little intense and energetic, but that's what this sport and this profession does to you, because you want to ultimately see these young men be successful, both on and off the field. But I can't say enough about him. Really, really excited and ecstatic to get the opportunity to work from him and learn from him, And I think we put together an all-star staff. That's just my opinion. And I can't wait to get going here, next week.
Did you go to the same high school as Robert Golden?
I did.
Okay. Were you guys teammates at all? Or?
We were.
Oh,
we
how
were.
was that?
Awesome, man. I can't say enough about Robert Golden. Robert is what I would call a beacon of hope, man, in Fresno, California. He's a guy that came after me, but what he's doing in that community now,
Golden Charter Academy.
the Golden Charter Academy. We've been best friends since high school. I mean, we worked together. My first job, we both worked for his mother at a gas station, and so we've had a lot of interaction, man. But can't say enough about him. He almost recruited me away from UCLA. His junior, which would have been his junior year in high school, I almost was very close to coming to school here, but he almost recruited me away, man. But can't say enough about him, man. Love him like a brother. Great people, but really proud of him and what he's doing, and hopefully we can get him back and get him around the program more, so these young men get to see what he's done, post-career. So, yeah.
Hey, man.
Nice meeting you.
Justin, pleasure.
No, thank you. All right, Justin. How's it going, man?
How's it going?
Good.
Ian Roll, GoEasyCast.com.
Chip Viney, nice to meet you.
Nice to
Hayden.
meet you.
Yeah.
So, what's been your experience so far in Tucson? And, how have you liked it so far?
I love it, man. I love it. I've had a great experience, man. We've taken a lot of our time and put it towards recruiting, obviously the current locker room, and hitting the trail and trying to find talent to continue to build to this thing for the most part. And kind of started diving into football a few weeks ago, and so that's been exciting. But we've hit the ground running, man, and we know that there are some expectations here, and we haven't shied away from those. But starting next week, we get to actually go out and start to answer some of those calls.
And you mentioned before that you're competitive. You show your competitive fire on the field. Mm-hmm. Have you seen in past jobs that players have kind of built off of your energy and in that way, in secondary?
Absolutely. I think it starts with myself. I think it starts with coaches, and anybody that has anything to say about Dwayne Aquina being a too intense coach. I think it starts with him, right? It sets the precedence for how we want our defense to play between these lines, and it's our job as a staff and as players to match that energy, right? And so I'm that way in my own space with my own group where the cornerbacks are concerned, but it's infectious. It'll start to run through your position group, your respective side of the ball, to all units and your team ultimately, right? And even those stands, and so I'll tell you this, when I turn on the film and I watch Arizona football, especially from last year, that's what these players bring to the table. And so they're welcoming me into their family, and so I want to match that energy, So I haven't challenged him yet, but I'm going to challenge Coach Aquina every day in that energy department. But I think all of us have kind of taken it upon ourselves to say this is what this place is and what it needs to be.
And in previous years with Trayden Stukes going from cornerback to star, if that was to happen again, where a cornerback was to go and transition to another position that needs to be filled, what's your mentality of just kind of getting that next guy on track and getting that all work together?
Absolutely. Next man up. I'll tell you this, man, we want the best five out there at all times, whether it's Stukes playing safety or Stukes playing corner or star. We want the best five guys out there that give us opportunity to win. But that's where being one group and being a unit will come into play, because you can start to prepare those next guys in line that way.
And you mentioned Dacario as well, just
Mm-hmm.
from his progress that you've seen. But is there anything that you've seen with his teammates, his relationship with his team, that anything that stood out?
Leader by far in his own right, and I think he's ready to take the next steps in that department. But I think you can have something special when you have a guy that's played and he's a starter, turn around and coach up the guy that wants his job. that says something. It says a lot about a young man. It says a lot about your program. And I've experienced a lot of that throughout our team, not just my group, my unit, but throughout our team. And that's when you have a chance to really do some special things, I think.
Is there anything that you're looking to expand on for spring? Like, is there a goal that's set in mind for when that comes around for spring practice?
Just taking the next step. I think every guy in their own right has goals and aspirations that they set forth, but just developing and transforming them, getting them to the next step, so that we can get to summer and attack summer workouts and prepare for fall.
Chip, my name is Brian.
Brian, nice to meet you.
So you're inheriting a group that's got a couple returning starters, but then also at least one open spot. Which is more the priority for you? Finding the next starter or improving the existing guys?
You kind of lost me there. You said finding the starter.
Well, because Ephesians had been one of the starting quarterbacks, so there's an open spot. So
Gotcha.
is it trying to identify who's that guy, or building on the ones who are already here?
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm always going to say develop and transform it first. That's who I am. I think it starts there, and I think in the midst you'll find who that piece is. Obviously, yes, there's an open spot, but I think in order for Tacario Davis to continue to develop and transform in his own right, someone also needs to be challenging him, right? So I think starting with development and transformation first by far. And in the midst of that, we will find out who that other corner is.
Yeah, and I apologize.